and sit down. But I think he had something more in mind than that. So anyway, so I made notes so I wouldn't leave stuff out, and so that I wouldn't go off on some tangent. So anyway, I was born in Bismarck, North Dakota. But except for the time in the hospital, I never lived in North Dakota. I lived in Pollock, South Dakota. And if you want to find that on a map, it's real easy. It's a really small town, but you find the North Dakota border, you find the Missouri River, and it's just south of the border and just east of the river. And there it is. It's a little dot. And that'll come into play later. So anyway, reading. When I was in first grade, now I don't know when they switched, but they switched from phonics to sight reading, and they had, and that was good for some people, but it wasn't too good for me. They had this big book, so wide and so tall, and it was up in front of the room, and they would have you stand and read what was on the page. And I had no idea what was on the page. So obviously I couldn't read it. It was, it was about Dick and Jane and Spot, and it was really exciting stuff like, see Dick run, see Jane run, run Spot run. It was a page turner for sure. And then they had smaller books which you could actually hold in your hand, and that was a little better. But I still had trouble with letters looking the same, especially like B's and B's. My dad asked me more than twice, son, can't you tell the difference between a B and a D? And I always said, yes, I could, because I knew that's what he wanted to hear, but I could not. And there were other letters too, and then my daughter, she teaches first grade, and she says, I'll bet you P's were in there too. All my kids have trouble with D's, B's, P's. So probably. So as a result of that, I got to spend 2 years in first grade. I got to go through the whole thing twice. And but that didn't help much. And then so then we did second grade and third grade. And in third grade, I taught by grades because that's what I remember. My dad was really good at, this happened in 1939, and in 1942 we did this, and me not so much. But in third grade, we moved to Sturgis. And the reason for that was my dad worked for an international harvest dealership as a parts man, and the dealership changed hands. Another guy bought it, and this new guy decided that his wife could run the parts department better than my dad, or at least cheaper. And so dad was without a job, but then he found, I'm going to say, a better one in Sturgis at another international harvester dealership. I will come back to better later. Turned out it wasn't better. But anyway, so we moved to Sturgis, and I was there for a little bit of third grade and then fourth grade. And the teachers, third grade and fourth grade teachers go, this kid can't read. And maybe he needs glasses. And so I went to an optometrist in Sturgis, and sure enough, so they got me glasses. So now I can tell the difference between a D and a B. There's a difference. So anyway, you may ask yourself, well, why didn't they get you glasses while you were in Pollock? Well, first of all, Pollock was a really, really small town, like the size of Royal City back in '68 when I moved here, or maybe even smaller. No doctors, no nurses, no dentists, no nothing. And the roads, all the streets in Pollock were gravel. All the roads leading out of town were gravel. My dad had a Model A, and it had a canvas top. Now that doesn't mean it was a convertible. That was all that was between the rain and you, or the snow and you. And if you want to know what a Model A looked like, ask Stan. He's got pictures. And you had to crank it to start. My dad would get out and crank it up, and away we go. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is transportation just wasn't what it is today. And it was 100 miles to Bismarck, and you just didn't jump in the car and go see if you needed glasses. Just wasn't done. So anyway, we moved to Sturgis, and I got glasses, so now I can see. Y'all think that was just a coincidence? But anyway, so then after fourth grade, that summer, we vacationed in Cody, Wyoming. Had an aunt and uncle that lived there, and we went through Yellowstone and did all things. Well, anyway, my dad complained to my aunt and uncle that where he was working wasn't, I said it was a better job, maybe. There was two bosses, and one would tell my dad how to run the parts department, and dad would try to do that. And then the other one would come along and no, I don't want you to do it that way. I want you to do it my way. And my dad suggested that the three of them get together and just come up with one plan. But they wouldn't do that. I don't know why. So anyway, he complained about, no matter what he did, he was in trouble with one of the bosses. And so my uncle said, oh, why don't you move to Cody and we'll get you a job here. So he got a job at a Ford dealership as a parts man there, and we moved to Cody. And we didn't move right away. In fact, they sent me out on a bus from the Black Hills to Billings, and my aunt picked me up there and drove me to Cody the day before school started. And then I was there about 6 weeks before my folks came. And I was just a kid, so, what do I know? But, so I don't know why my dad's job didn't start right away, why it started way late, but doesn't matter. It did. So when we get to Cody, the teacher goes, this kid can't read. And but that's okay, because we have a special reading program for kids that can't read. And so I got to go to that an hour and a half every day, and they taught me how to read. So again, you can think that was a coincidence that we moved to Cody, but I think it was, what's the word? Intentional. Yes. Very good. Intentional. So anyway, they had a special reading program, and I learned how to read pretty good. When my folks hated Cody, I loved it. I thought Cody was just the place to be. I had a paper route, so I had spending money. I was in Boy Scouts, and they actually had activities, and my aunt and uncle would take me fishing. it was wonderful. My folks, on the other hand, didn't think much of it. In Cody, there was the Elks and the Eagles fraternal organizations, and you had to belong to one of those. And which my aunts and uncles did belong to the Eagles. And church was opened at 9 on Sunday and closed at noon. And that was just about it. So anyway, they didn't think much of Cody. So we moved back to Sturgis after about a little over a year, maybe 13, 14 months. And by now I'm in 6th grade. I'm reading on a 5th grade level. So I'm still behind, but much improved. I still don't read for some of you younger people. I was a school teacher, and so you'd think, man alive, I mean, this guy must be able to, but no, I still don't read to where you think I might. I still have trouble. My eyes don't track. That's what I call it. I don't know if that's is that a medical term?
Sounds good to me.
It's my medical term. When I read, especially when I pick out a book to read for pleasure, the first, you all, who's the author, what topic is it, and so on.
I bet it's not Dick, Jane, and Sally.
No. I open the book to see what size the print is. And because of its small print, I have trouble. And as my eyes don't follow along like they should. But anyway, I can read. And I thank the Lord for being intentional and getting me to Sturgis, to Cody, and taking care of me. And we still have time left over. Who's